Welcome to the Merrimack Special Town Meeting for October 20th, 2014. I know it's a special town meeting, so I just want to say if there's anyone who has a birthday today, they want to come up here and have a little special treat, they can sit up here with the rest of us. A room this size ought to be somebody with a birthday. All right. Well, my name is Bob Bender. I'm town moderator. With me is Pat Drew, the town clerk, and we're the officers of your town meeting. Joining us here today are the Board of Selectmen, who put together a warrant or an agenda of business for the town meeting. Laura Mailman and Earl Baumgartner. Our third selectman, Hal Lloyd, is unable to be here tonight. As you know from those of you who picked up the materials or saw it on posting or on the town website, this is not a very long meeting. There's just 8 articles to act on. But there's one special item that was put out for you to pick up. If you didn't see it, you can get it on the way out. That's a Public Health Preparedness Handbook, specially printed for Merrimack edition, that you can pick up here, and you can ask for at Town Hall for the Health Department or the public nurse. All right, we'll bring this meeting to order. Those of you here, I think you know pretty much how we do things. Please, if you want to be speaking, raise your hand, and it would be well appreciated if you could step to one of the mics in the aisles. People will be able to hear you a little better, and people at home will be able to hear what you said tonight. So, do we have a motion on Article 1?
Yes. I move that the town vote to increase the amount raised and appropriated in Article 1 of the April 28, 2014 annual town meeting in the amount of $28,052 and amend the following lines. Line number 8, short-term debt lease, $10,000. Line number 12, Merrimack Valley planning expense, $52. Line number 27, selectmen expense, $5,000. Line number 28, finance department salaries. Less money, it will be expended of $3,700. Line 29, finance department expenses, $3,700. Line 53, police department salaries, $3,000. Line 88, Essex North tuition, $10,000.
Second.
All right, it's been moved and seconded as to Article 1, that we raise and appropriate an additional $28,052 for these 7 line items. One of the line items actually is a reduction of $3,700. This is in regards to the omnibus budget that we passed this last spring. And there's a copy of that in your town meeting booklets that you picked up out front, the various lines. So these would be not replacement numbers, but additions to the numbers that were originally voted. Does anyone have any questions about Article 1? And all in favor of the motion? All opposed? It is adopted unanimously.
Mr. Moderator, I move that the town vote pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 44, Section 53E and a half, to establish the Pentucket Regional School District Grounds Maintenance Revolving Fund, which funds received from Pentucket Regional School District will be used to pay for the grounds maintenance at the Sweetser and Donahue schools. Said expenditures to be approved by the Board of Selectmen and not to exceed $50,000 during the fiscal year of 2015.
Second.
All right, it's been moved and seconded that we establish a revolving fund to do the maintenance of grounds at the Sweetser School and Donahue School. You may recall we have revolving funds that we approve every year at the annual town meeting, where a certain amount of money, seed money, is put in, and that money can be used for that specific purpose through the course of the year. And the money comes from special Well, here it says it's going to come from the Pentucket School District to pay the funding. So this is kind of an accounting technique to maintain these properties, their grounds. Does anyone have any questions or discussion as to this motion? Are all in favor of establishing this particular revolving fund? All opposed? Being none opposed, it is adopted unanimously.
Mr. Moderator, I move that the town vote to raise and appropriate a sum of money in the amount of $25,000 for solid waste collection and disposal, recycling collection and leaf collection, and to fund said appropriation transfer from trash offset receipts.
Second.
All right, so moved and seconded that, in this article, that we transfer an additional $25,000 from the trash offset receipts. That $25,000 to be used for more solid waste collection and disposal, recycling collection, and leaf collection. Does anyone have any questions about this? Then all in favor of the motion? All opposed? Being none opposed, it is adopted unanimously.
Excuse me. Mr. Moderator, I move that the town vote to transfer a sum of money in the amount of $22,400 from Article 10 of the April 28, 2014 annual town meeting, additional closure activities at the Battis Road landfill, to Article 8 of the April 28, 2014 annual town meeting, solid waste collection and disposal, recycling collection, and leaf collection.
Second.
All right, it's been moved and seconded again to raise additional money for solid waste collection, disposal, recycling collection, and leaf collection, to raise $22,400 in addition by transferring that money from the money we appropriated last spring for closure activities at the landfill. Does anyone have any questions about this? Yes, sir.
Just one quick one. When is the closure going to take place?
When is the closure of the landfill going to take place? I think it's one of those ongoing activities. But I mean, when is it going to be done? Is that what your question is?
Yeah, when's it over?
Do we have a completion estimate as to when we will no longer be closing, will be closed?
You know, at this point in time, Bob, and you know, we're still looking at least another 3 to 4 years.
Okay,
We're going to get a final sign off.
ask again in 3 years.
Well, I mean, it's really not fun.
No, but
You
it's,
know, I mean, honestly, if it had been done correctly, we wouldn't be in the situation we're in now. It's cost the town, you know, an absurd amount of money to have this straightened out. And a lot of good money is being thrown at fixing a lot of bad judgment and errors that occurred in the past. So, that being said, we're doing a great project up there. However, it is costing, and it's duplicating some efforts, but it's being done correctly, and I'm sorry to say, there's no firm date, but we're working toward the end, but it looks like it's still at least 3 to 4 years out before we're gonna get the final sign-offs from DEP.
I think people here appreciate the difference between what's going on now and what was going on, 8 and 10 years ago, and what needs to be taken care of. So the fact that it takes a few years to get it done is it's just what it is. That's what people want to know what the answer is. So, any other questions about this article to use $22,400 from the appropriation for the landfill closure and add it to the solid waste collection and recycling collection, leaf collection?
Well,
Yes.
this is in addition to. This money was already approved, however, we're just diverting it because we did some.
No, I understand. You're not going to use it at one place, you're going to use it someplace else. It's not raising more money, but it's using it in a different place.
We're not asking for any additional money. This was money that was already approved. We're just
We-
doing a different line item
Right, you take some money and use it in a different place, because you need more money for solid waste and less money for the landfill. Is that correct? All right, so well, this is the second article, though, that we move money towards solid waste. That's what I'm saying. It's in addition to that. Any other questions or comments? Then all in favor of this article? All opposed? There's no opposition. It's adopted unanimously.
Mr. Moderator, I move that the town vote to raise and appropriate a sum of money in the amount of $125,500 to be used to make necessary repairs to town roadways and to fund said appropriation, transfer from Article 1, line item number 75, highway expense of the April 28, 2014 annual town meeting.
Second.
All right, it's been moved and seconded that on Article 5, we raise and appropriate $125,500 and use that money for necessary repairs to town roadways. And again, this would not be actually adding to how much money is being raised in taxes, because it would be, there's $125,500 in line item 75 of the omnibus budget. So it'll be used to pay that $125,500. Is that correct? All right. So this is moving money again from the omnibus budget into the special article for the repairs of the town roadways. Does anyone have any questions, discussion about this article? All right, I just wanted to mention that when this article was posted, by mistake, the request was for $225,000, but the motion is for $125,500, which is well within the scope of the motion, the original article. So, if there are no questions, we'll bring this motion to a vote. All in favor of the motion to set up the separate article? All opposed? Seeing none opposed, it is adopted unanimously.
Mr. Moderator, I move that the town vote to reduce the amount raised and appropriated in Article 3 of the April 28, 2014 annual town meeting to operate the Water Department enterprise, a sum of money in the amount of $55,000, $45,000 of which in salaries and $10,000 in expenses.
Second.
All right, it's been moved and seconded regarding Article 6 that we reduce, lessen, not raise as much, not use as much money for Article 3, which is the budget of the Water Department enterprise, and to use $55,000 less than we approved of money raised by water fees, water rate. Are there any questions or discussion as to this? Okay, all in favor of the motion to use $55,000 less? All opposed? It's adopted unanimously.
Mr. Moderator, I move that the town vote to raise and appropriate a sum of money in the amount of $1,162.25 to be expended by the Board of Assessors to pay prior fiscal year expenses, $940 of that in salaries, $222.25 in expenses.
I'll second that.
All right, it's been moved and seconded that we raise and appropriate $1,162.25 to pay bills that went unpaid last year in the last fiscal year, bills on behalf of the Board of Assessors. Are there any questions about this? Ed, why don't you come up by the mic? If you don't mind coming up by the mic. Okay.
Slower than I used to.
All right. Well, we had two cameras until you turned your back on one.
Well, I'm sorry. Don't move it. All right, here? Okay. My name's Ed Davis. I'm with Chairman of the Board of Assessors. And I'm the one that the board put this in, and I want to explain to you folks why we're doing it. We do I do realize that the selectmen and the finance committee are against it.
You want to stay close to the mic? Thank you.
Can you hear me now?
That's better.
Anyway, let me explain why we're asking for this. And the rationale in here is fairly accurate, 95% there. But I want to tell you how this happened. I've been doing this now for 39 plus years. Never come to a special town meeting for a dime for anything. But when the new assessor came on board in 2011, it's always tough to find someone in town that wants to run for the Board of Assessors. Every time I hear there's someone that wants to run, I'm saying, really? There's someone that really wants to do this job? Only back in 2011, when this individual came on, we explained how we get paid. We don't get a salary. We don't get a stipend. We pay ourselves at $20 an hour to go out and do work. And I said to this individual, yeah, you don't have to turn it in every week. Turn it in whenever you need it. Well, in all honesty, I thought it would be turned in every year. But this accumulation of money is for part of 2011, 2012, 2013, which tells you in that course, asking for $1,162, the individual doesn't put in for. We don't put in for everything we do for the town. So it's not a lot of money, but I will say this, of that $1,162, the Board of Assessors are required, if you're on the board, you're required to take a course with the state. And where they have it, you've got to take this course 101, helps all the assessors through the process and what takes place in an assessor's office and what's required. And we got to travel for that. It's not, when I first took it 39 years ago, it was down in Topsfield. Well, now we're lucky if we get any place north of Boston, which never happens. It's always down just the south of Boston or west of Boston. So part of that money is for going to school to get this approval for the state to be an assessor. So that totals about $592 expenses and time to do it. But I'm hoping that you'll see to approve this so this individual can be paid. Believe me, if you figure out all the nights we meet, and there's plenty of nights we meet, we don't put in for anything, and rightfully so, because a lot of the work we do is not necessarily working on values to bring up value, the recertification. A lot of it's abatement applications, it's motor vehicle excise tax and stuff like this. So it's not a lot, but hopefully you'll approve this so she can get what little money she earned for the work she's done the last 2.5 years. And this won't happen again, I can tell you.
Ed, I know that there's the rationale talks about there's a change in the way that the board the accounting works at the board.
Since I came on the board back in 1975 and they started this new Proposition 2.5, we always had money. At one time, we used to have a stipend that every assessor got every year, no matter whether you showed up and did anything or not, plus the money we earned going out in the field to do the work. We did away with a stipend a number of years ago, maybe 20 years ago, because money was tight in town. And I was all for that, because you get the stipend once you're elected and you sit at home and never do a bit of work and you get paid for it. That's not right. We felt that paying us out of this fund when we go out to do the work was the fairest way to do it. We get money if we work. And the article we had used to allow us to not only pay ourselves, but to hire someone if we needed help in areas that we didn't have time to do, or there was anything that was tied into assessing. Like a few years ago, we used it to transfer out of those funds to pay for mapping. We hadn't done in 3 years. Well, where are we going to get the money? We had this excess money. A special article, if it's not used in the first year, say there's $500 left over or $700 left over. That sits in that account until we use it. So some years, we were 4 and 5 years, we had some excess money. If we had had that and that article hadn't changed, this wouldn't have occurred. We wouldn't be here. Those excess monies would have been able to pay this person for her work. But the Finance Committee wanted to clean it up and I didn't have a problem with it. Get rid of the special article, put it into a line item. That way, the excess money every year goes back in the free cash or whatever they deem they want to use it for. And I had no problem with that. So that's the only reason we're here tonight, because of that change. For that, I apologize.
Does anyone have any questions or comments? All right, well, if we bring this to order, as I saw in the handout, because this is paying a bill from a different fiscal year, it takes 9/10 to approve that. You have to get 90 votes out of 100, or 45 out of 50. All in favor of this motion to pay this? All opposed? 1, 2, 3, 4, well, 5. All right, well, I see we have 6. There's not 9/10 voting here. It's 6, I didn't see it. Did you guys vote? All right, well, there's six no's, and we don't have 60 people here, so that means the vote fails. Let me just see people's hands again, because I don't understand. All in favor? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. All right, and all opposed? Is anyone over here opposed? All right, well, there was 26 for and 5 against. That's not 90%, so this fails. It takes 45 to outweigh 5. All right, we'll move on to the next article.
Mr. Moderator, I move that the town vote to transfer the care, custody, management, and control of the real property described in this article from the Board of Selectmen for the purpose for which the property is now held to the Board of Selectmen for general municipal purposes and the purpose of conveyance, and to authorize the Selectmen to maintain or convey, pursuant to the requirements of General Laws, Chapter 30B, Section 16, the parcel of surplus land with any buildings thereon, containing about .228 acres, located at 28 School Street, shown on Assessor's Map 13, Block 1 as Lot 18, on such terms and conditions and for such sum of money as the Selectmen may determine.
Second.
All right, so moved and seconded that this is concerning 28 School Street, which was the senior center recently, and before that was the firehouse in Merrimack, on the corner there of School Street, 1 block south of the town center, town square. And this would vote to transfer the care, custody, and control of that real estate, that property, the building and land, to the Board of Selectmen to hold for general municipal purposes and for the purposes of conveyance, which may be to sell or convey the land pursuant to statute law as surplus land and buildings therefore. Does anyone have any questions or discussion about this? Authorize the selectmen to hold this land? Ms. Benner?
I was just looking for a little more understanding of what this is actually saying and what the intent is, because it does say to maintain and convey, and then talks about for purposes of demolition, yet there's no dollar amount for demolition, which would have a cost. So just wanting a little bit more of an understanding of what both the process would be that you anticipate going forward, because I know a lot of effort was put into seeing if there could be further uses to the building as is, and apparently that hasn't proved to be fruitful. So just where things stand now and what you hope to happen in the future.
For those of you who have been coming to town meeting for the last few years, you're probably aware that we were hoping that that building would be able to be purchased and perhaps renovated. We had a couple of groups within the town that were interested in that possibility, but when the inspections took place, it was discovered that the amount of money to try and make any repairs far outweighed the value of the building. It's currently completely unsafe for use of any kind, and so at the present time, we're just hoping to be able to take over that property and legally be able to look into the possibilities of demolition. We have to own it before we can demolish it. Bob, do you have anything for us?
Well, I just wanted to ask, notice that on the, to the rear of the building on Lancaster Court, there was a new wall put up and, you know, some parking areas. Is that part of this parcel, or is that something separate from this parcel?
Part of the parcel,
Part of it.
Part of the parcel.
as it stands right now, it's part of the parcel.
Can I
This
read
one-
something?
Well, you want to,
Actually, Earl can speak on that, he's gonna
all right.
say what.
Yeah, I was just
Earl?
going to answer the process question. So what we'd like to do is we'd like town meeting to give us authority over the building. We will look into what possibilities there are for, let's call it disposal of the building, whether that be to tear it down, to sell it, have somebody buy it, do what they want with it, turn it into a park, whatever that might be. You're not giving the board any authority to spend any money on that property. You're giving us the authority over the property to make a decision as to what we should do and what will be in the best interest of the town. Excuse me. If there is any money required to be spent in conveyance of that property, that would have to come back for a decision at town meeting. We don't have that authority. But we would like the authority to start investigating as to what we might be able to do with that property, because right now, it's a liability to the town. If you had an opportunity to go into the building, you wouldn't want to go into the basement. You wouldn't want to go onto the second floor. And as Laura said earlier, we did make several attempts, and several citizen groups were interested in seeing if there was any way to restore, refurbish that back to some original state. And as most of them have found out, and what we have found as well, is it's just too costly to do that. The value of the property does not warrant spending the money on doing whatever repairs and renovations would need to be done to make that a usable parcel. So we'd like authority to look into what we might be able to do with that parcel. And then again, if there's any funds that need to be expended, we'd have to come back to town meeting in the spring, presumably, to get authority to spend any money on it.
Yes, ma'am. Can you, either speak up or take a step by the mic, because
I'm just wondering, who has the authority now? I mean, I
the
would assume
question
you already have.
is who has the authority at the moment?
Yeah.
There's no clear authority at this time, and because it was given to the town so far back in time that, we're just trying to legally do it correctly.
I mean, the property's been used for public purposes for quite a long time.
Yeah. I believe the fire station is 1863, 65, something like that. What is it?
It was built in 1871.
71.
After that stuff, 1880. Fire station, I think, 1977.
So it certainly is old as the town government.
And the American Legion still lives there.
Any other questions or discussion about this motion? All right, then we'll bring this to a vote. All in favor of the motion, which is designating the Board of Selectmen to take charge of the property? All opposed? It is approved with 3 dissents. It's 31-3. The motion is adopted. This is all the business that we have for town meeting. I'd entertain a motion to adjourn. All in favor? Any opposed? We stand adjourned. Thank you very much for coming. And remember about the health handbooks.